Hello, my name is Tom Clendon and we're here at ACCA HQ in London and we are in conversation with Ben Wilson and Erin Morton. Now the three of us are ACCA members and we are independent individuals, we're lecturers. And we're here today to talk about failing exams, not how to fail exams, but what happens to you and what you should do when you've had that setback. Because the majority of students who get to the end of this exercise will have gone through that process, all right? So let's be real, let's be direct, let's be honest, yeah? Why do students fail exams, Ben?
Well, they're hard. Right? That's the first thing to say. Right? Look at the pass rates for the ACCA exams. Right? When you move up to strategic professional, they're kind of 50% or lower, which means that around half or less than half of people are passing. Most people aren't post-passing. And people have gone through many exams to get to that point. They're exam experts. They're great at passing exams, and less than half of them pass. Right? So let's start off with that. Number one, these exams are hard. Right? So if you have had a setback and you haven't passed, don't beat yourself up about it, right? It happens. Most students, as Thomas already said, will have a setback at some point. But it's about what you do next. The best time to have passed that exam was at your previous attempt. The next best time to pass that exam is the next time you take it. So you've got to go, how am I going to get there for next time?
Okay, so that's interesting because you get your results in the middle of the month, and then within 10 days, 2 weeks' time, you've got to make a decision about whether or not you go for that reset. What's your feeling on that, Erin?
Yeah, it's a tough decision, is it? Because often you'll be in the middle of the process of another exam. You may have already started your next journey. And so you're met with this very difficult decision. Do I carry on with what I've already been doing? Do I now add this on top of my workload and life and everything else that I'm doing? Or do I stop what I'm doing and really go for this exam that I've just had a setback from? Which obviously will depend on how well you did, in terms of, where were you in terms of the percentages? Was you only just far off from it, or was you quite a way away from the pass mark?
Have you got a cut-off? Is there that you advise your students? If you got above this, resit straight away. Below it, don't.
I think 40%. I think for me, if somebody has got 42, 45%, then providing they're prepared to put in the work and not think they've just got to earn another 5%, another 8%, providing they're prepared to put in the work, attempt fresh mock examinations, then go for it. But
resit straight away.
Okay. Providing they're not getting married, providing they just haven't been promoted. They've got to have the space. They've got to have that space in their lives. And if they've started another paper, my starting point is do one exam.
No. Shouldn't they do the resit alongside that other one? Because then they'll qualify more quickly, won't they? They'll pass all those exams more quickly because they're doing more together.
Or they fail both. And then they're back into the turnstile of constant disappointment. And actually what we find with students that do that is their confidence levels get lower and lower and lower. And actually we start to lose them in the ACCA journey. So really pause. Now that one, then go back to it.
If you have failed one, there is absolutely no way you should be resitting that alongside another exam.
I agree. I agree. And I think I'm going to use the word, maybe it's a cliche, but I don't think it is, reflection. Why has that individual, and there needs to be some honesty, why have you failed that exam? Now what you can't do, rightly or wrongly, what you can't do is get your script back. You can't see that script. It's gone. The ACCA don't release it and you can't get it back. But you've got to have an honest conversation with yourself, with your tutor, with your boss, with your loved ones as to what went wrong. Because if you don't know what went wrong, you don't know how to fix it. And if you end up doing exactly the same thing, you're going to get the same result.
Yeah, that's the definition of madness, isn't it? Repeating the same process and expecting a different outcome. If you just repeat what you did last time, why would it get you a different result?
But without the support, often that's what they feel that they have to do. They're almost on that wheel that they can't get off of. And you've seen this time and time again with students. And, I've had a student that came to me with failing an exam 9 times on the trot.
Ouch.
Between 46 and 49% every single time. Just didn't know how to get out of the problem. Why couldn't I just get those few more marks? And actually, once they started the course and got the support, we looked at the MEP report, which is a fabulous resource, particularly at this point in time when you want to reflect, like you said.
Remind me what MEP stands for skills level.
Absolutely. So the My Exam Performance, so the report that gives them feedback on how they performed in each section, looking at whether they had good knowledge, whether they struggled with application, time management, all of this information. We looked at that. We also then looked at how they'd prepared before. We set him off, and then before you knew it, I think within 2 weeks, they got in contact and went, I already know why this was a problem. I now know what I've been doing wrong. And as a result, managed to pass. Just with that support.
Fantastic.
So I work with loads of resit students, and that's because with AAA, the pass rate is quite low. So I work with a lot of people who've tried studying somewhere else and then come and work with me. I find a lot of people, particularly if they've had multiple resits, their mark gets lower when they resit. So they get 47 and then they resit and they get 42, which is heartbreaking.
Why do you think that is?
Well, for a lot of students, let's say they score 47, a lot of the time they'll then go into their resit going, I only need 3 more marks. Don't need to do that much more. Right, so there's a couple of areas of the syllabus I was a bit weak on, right, so I'll do a bit more practice there. Or in my exam, this thing came up and I fluffed it, so I will go back over audit procedures or whatever it is, and they address that bit, and maybe they get slightly better in that bit there. But all the rest of their knowledge has spent 3 months doing this, dropping, declining. You've got to get back up to where you were and beyond it, which means putting in all the work that you did last time and more, rather than just a little bit to get the 3 marks.
And you also need something that Ben's got lots of, which is energy.
Arrogance.
Perseverance.
I wouldn't use the word arrogance, but yeah, a lot of motivation and a lot of energy. And unfortunately, when you reset multiple times, your enthusiasm for the subject is going to go. You're going to get almost maybe sometimes a bit resentful about the fact that you're still looking at this exam. Yeah. So it is important to try and self-reflect quite early on and see if you can up those levels. I know we've spoken about this before, about actually you've got to do more, not even the same. What can you change? How can you mix up your learning?
If someone is in that, I can't stand doing this, I feel resentful, actually, it can be a good idea to have a break.
Yeah, step back.
Yeah. Do another paper, then go back to this one.
That is an option. That is a possibility that you do another paper, so you pass an exam to build your confidence.
Yes.
But in those dark moments that I've spoken to students about, I sometimes challenge them to say, well, why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself through these exams? What's your motivation? And getting them to talk to me about their career or how they want to make their parents proud or what they're going to do with that pay rise focuses their mind on making the sacrifice to go again. Because if somebody has got a mark in the 40s, I think they should go again quickly. I think they should not use old keys to try and open up new doors, but I think they do need to do the mocks. Now, I've got a question for both of you. I'll be interested to know what you think. In general, are we able to generalise as to why students marginally fail exams? Do you think it's down to a lack of knowledge, or do you think it's down to a lack of exam technique? Clearly, it's not 100% binary.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
9 times out of 10, it's a lack of exam practice. I think it's coming away from the realisation that, or it's moving towards the realisation that actually exam practice is critical for ACCA exams. And I think a lot of the time there is that assumption that if I absorb the text, if I look at the study material, if I read, a few quizzes here and there, maybe watch a couple of videos, but generally if I know that content from the beginning to the end, I will pass the exam. And actually, it can sometimes serve you well. You might be naturally quite good at answering exam questions and get almost there, but they haven't put in enough question practice. those that then up the question practice tend to tip themselves over into a pass, from my experience.
So if you fail because of a lack of exam technique, the route down is a lack of exam technique. Knowledge is not enough to pass these exams.
And for most students, it isn't. Well, if they don't have the knowledge, it's generally because they didn't put the study in. Right? It's generally. And students can often quite comfortably self-reflect and go, do you know what, I didn't really work hard enough. There were whole areas of the syllabus that I hadn't really been through, right? So you're not going to pass.
And I don't think you should therefore be retaking the exam straight away.
No,
because if you haven't got the knowledge,
time to study it.
You need to take the time to absorb the information and then also have time to practice as well.
But also with and it's not just, I'll do some questions. It's doing them properly. Yeah. So did you do them against, so honestly, if you failed, how many questions did you do in your practice genuinely against the clock? Like genuinely. So you were practicing your exam speed. Right, and feeling that horrible, I'm out of time, how am I going to problem solve and get a few more marks? How many questions did you do without looking at the answers first? That were genuine problem solving techniques, rather than, I'll have a look at the question, I'll read through a bit of scenario, I'll have a glance at the answer, because I'm not quite sure how to answer it. Oh, now I know how to answer it, and then I have a little go at it. How many times did you actually plan your answer and write it under exam conditions? And for many students, if they're being honest, they'll go, I didn't actually practice that many questions properly. I did quite a few where I looked at the model answer and thought, I would have come up with that point had I needed to, right? But they weren't practicing that problem-solving technique, and that problem-solving is critical for these exams.
I've always said you need to be uncomfortable before you walk into an exam. So you need to feel that feeling before you sit in the exam.
Because then you can cope with it in the exam. If the first time you're feeling I'm doing this against the clock without being able to look at my notes, without being able to look at the answer, and that horrible feeling rising up, if the first time you're feeling that is in the exam, you're almost certainly not going to pass.
No,
right? But if you've been feeling that a lot, you get used to it.
You get used to it, yeah. It's very, very, very important to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, because these are challenging exams.
Question for you, Tom.
Yes.
How many students do you know who have scored 49 and applied for the I'm going to call it remarking. The remarking said, how many students do you know that have been upgraded to a pass?
None. And
you've been teaching ACCA for 84 years. Wow.
And I'm going to pick you up there on this remarking service malarkey. I think what you're referring to is the administrative review.
That's the one.
Nice.
And
so it's not remarking.
It's not remarking. No. It's my understanding of the administrative review is that the examiner does not look at the script because of the administrative review. In fact, the marginal scripts, the 48s, the 49s, will have been marked, remarked, quality control there. So it is painful getting 49, but the solution is not to spend money and have a dangling kind of expectation that somehow things are going to, the mark is going to change.
I also have never had a student be up. Have you ever had one?
Nope,
So
not one.
between the three of us, we've never had a student be upgraded to a pass. So in my mind, that means it's probably not worth paying for it for that reason. But it does tell you, for my exam, it will tell you what you scored in, did you pass or fail each of the three questions?
Yes.
So that's can be a little bit tiny. I mean, I'm talking tiny.
It's expensive.
It is a really expensive way of getting that bit of
information. It takes a week or so to come through.
And the other thing, it does give people peace of mind. So I always have students who go, I know, Ben, you're telling me you've never had a student that's been upgraded, but I might be the one.
Yeah.
The special one.
The special
I am the
one.
special. And someone else is paying. And if someone else is paying, then why not? But you won't be the one.
Yeah. Any other business, Erin? Any last minute comments to say to students who have failed an exam?
Only that it's an uncomfortable process, but one that lots of people go through, and one that I've been through. I'm sure we've all had setbacks along the way, haven't we? And it is a case of reflecting, taking your time to think about your plan, and making sure that you don't make a rash decision before you jump back in and have a go at your next attempt. But I think if anything, don't do what you did last time. Try and mix it up or use something different.
Make a change.
Do something different. Yeah, good. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. There are other episodes in this series regarding about the fantastic resources that ACCA have at your disposal. So if you failed an exam but you weren't familiar with all of those resources, make sure that you check them out. Thank you very much for listening.